Hi, this is Tariq Shah. I'm a writer and a poet based in Brooklyn, New York, and it's an honor to be reading for the Badmouth Reading Series. I'm going to read you a few poems. This first one is called Eraser. It was originally published in the Heavy Feather Review. They erased me yesterday after they took up the gavel, hammered the sound block, the wheels set into motion. They assembled their people into teams: notary publics, solicitors general, coders, flamethrowers, telephone and wrecking ball operators. It was quite early the morning they commenced. The sky still the blue pink of gloveless winter hands. Quite quiet. I don't know what to do. The new stamps came in the mail this afternoon. Some of them swung metal scrapers and they scraped off the glass any reference to me. They worked fast, worked without breaking for lunch, for water, for cramped fingers and calves to slacken. They switched off. They got in the corners with tongue tips dabbing their upper lips as they focused on the task at hand. I don't know what comes next. They are laughing when not nodding to demonstrate comprehension of the orders given them by the white collars upstairs. They move out and sweep floor to floor, house to house, block to block, state to state. They have a spring in their steps because they have been granted permission to reify what they love, which is erasing. No, I did see them coming. Yes, I stood, simply where I stood, when they came with their buckets of paint and lawyer brigade. They prowled forth on foot, in uniform. They flowed right past me, some invisible river's common flotsam. Certain of them spritzed me with a chemical fluid, but this, I was assured, had nothing to do with what was to come, what ended yesterday for me, and not only me. And I was saluted, no clue why. Really, only one of them did, then fell into formation. The moments spent in their presence are moments spent in the pens of wild boars raised to abide humans when their stomachs are full. I am not sure what I will do now, just as I was not sure what to do then, when they hung the sign that read, "Today is a new day." But I am still here? Their shredders and their rots are still hungry. They roar for more, being good at what they do. For Halloween, I'm going as me, and they will never guess. They have already forgotten who I was. The forgetting who I was their favorite aspect of erasing. In this, we share a sentiment, admittedly. For Halloween, I will go as me. Every other day, who I used to be, the me they fixed beneath a bright white blank sheet. They punched holes for air. Who knows who they are, if they care, if names, with their personal belongings, get boxed somewhere. They who are painting the leaves today, this one pearl, that one pitch, who are singing all in a good day's work. They who will never ever find the likes of me again, who tomorrow will utterly fail to place what it is that whips them and whips them into this state of panic, what it is that makes us laugh the ghost laugh and dance the dance of open secrets. This next one is called Sudden Authority. It's about my mom. The blue shade of barbicide has always been my favorite color. I was a boy and would get haircuts and spellbound by combs suspended a lot like millipede specimens in liquefied lollipop. Once, as my mother jawed with the barber, I galloped back to the vanity and plunged my thumb in the slimy cerulean dazzle. My mother noticed right before I licked my finger and yelled, "Do not dare put that thumb in your mouth. It'll make you sick." It tasted like bug repellent. I grew sick, as she predicted. I didn't want to get sick, but her grave shout frightened me, a fright demanding an act of defiance that would, like a magic potion, make sweet what stung and burned my tongue. I hated my mother for only an hour or two, but how hot that hate burned. Black like the cloud of my bangs on the tile, and deep as the dizzying sea she once held me up to see that was technically just a lake, but still big and so cold, I told her, until you get used to it. This next one is called Rude Health. It's forthcoming from Diagram at some point in the next 6 months or so. I took my death in my hands and stroked its fur coat. I wanted to calm it down by giving it things it never had before breaking the news. It was a her, and when grown to adulthood, would be pain-free. I showed it the candle burning on the lop side of my desk. I showed it patience by giving it a lit cigarette and an overview of American politics that made no sense, though it was understood to be founded on choices and other things I could not manage, as I would not let her roam. I still had time, cooing in its ear, to nurse her back to health. I gave her an odd assortment, my liver ounce by ounce, my lungs from the inside out, which made her hiss and spit and claw at my skin, and over time, if she kept that up, I would have no alternative but to lie her up to the whims of a perfect stranger, knowing that she would not like that in the slightest. I had to exercise caution. I was inclined toward pursuing projects I understood to be ill suited for my skill set, such as those requiring a strict adherence to schedules so as to meet the long shot goals in mind that were not mine at all, but spectacularly hers, such as running a paw along the pelt of a purring death wish, such as gunning down a blind alley, such as putting her down and letting the inevitable go hunt its prey. This next one I consider to be sort of a pep talk poem, sort of an argument for sticking around here, for continuing to try. It's called Go Me. Granted, the castle's east wall is falling into the sea. Swallows have ravaged the squash crop she planted back when thoughts of leaving seemed gone for good. The cut losses took the car somehow down with them, and your index bruised breastbone smarts. Yeah. And here you are, tweezing out shards of bone arrowhead in the shower, working joints crying for a squirt of WD-40, stuck on how brightly you once burned. Haunting Ace Hardwares. You went from limited edition to bargain bin, all sales final, mine bowling ball heavy with conundrum and crude designs of payback via pickaxe, still. A dozen years since you heard his untunable piano with the claw pedals fun to stomp. You can't read the guidebook, the warnings, the boilerplate letter of decline with combat boots still laced in that siege mentality of little use, but here the statistical odds of a turn upon Solomon's throne, succeeding at raising that healer upright, are akin to raising dead weight in priestesses, an objection, Cain, the sun, a fucking flower, the shy one you bet on. And okay, you still don't know your place any more than you did back when school still meant Abercrombie cliques and cemeteries, lousy with skaters, and a French kiss if you could simply afford to sit still for a minute after hours with her, whose dad was a narc and lumberjack games contestant and spoke thick suburb, but still of all grunted hello once certain you didn't literally puff or still wet the twin bed like you did as a kid afraid of strange male boots downstairs. Who's older now, having trouble, But who isn't still a mere pinhead into Wolverine and scaling dogwoods to untangle from a mother's field of warm energy, still flickering with the old blue gaslight of love and promise, or at least blood you dutifully kept lit in a glass prism that housed a locket which rattled with the claws of stray cats endlessly puling to be let out at night, so chin up. You have that going for you. Who talks to cacti? Who runs from a flashlight moon? Who is melting cheesecake with a blue flare to a dagger? Who is someone's birthday's midnight? Plus, the still good leftovers in the chest freezer because they'll always be good, and still, so will you, who lost. Who lost a heart to a wild broken gale, and you're feeling the pocks and pits of your dark basement for the fuse box, or honestly, when they all forget, the deal goes pear shaped. The smell still plagues the rug you can't always get up from, or whose mildewed funk you still secretly huff for the attic visions it brings, which smack hard as still photos of you, viewed too soon or after a long time, or with a foreigner's haircut, but still are you, and so you fit your chills for concrete shoes to keep still on that shore. But still you find the winter's petrified starlight and the croak of the truck door and the streaks of blue still there salt are a bit like you are, a bit sort of crystal enough to pass as semi-precious if you squint and pretty amazing close up if you stay. Thank you again to Bad Mouth Reading Series. It's an honor. And thanks for listening.